Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Black Men Matter series on the male perspective. The podcast that's all about dispelling stereotypes and shining a light on the rich and varied experiences of Black men from all around the world. Each episode aims to broaden understanding and foster appreciation for their unique stories that often go unheard. Now, here is your host, Lana Reid, to introduce you to yet another remarkable Black man with an insightful perspective to share.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today is another phenomenal day. I get the opportunity to sit down with a gentleman by the name of Dr. T.A.N.K. I'm going to let him say his government name, and I am looking forward to spending some time with him today. He is an educational consultant and the author of the recently released book, School is Not for You. If my grandmother was here, she would not like that title, but you're going to explain it for us in further. But before I get started, sir, as I always do, I take a quick moment to pause and say thank you to you for making time for me today. Time is a gift. Once we give it, we cannot get it back. So I truly appreciate you sitting down and making time for me, for little old me. And with that, sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to be on your platform. I watched several of your shows, and I'm just glad that you reached out to me, little old me, to this. So thank you again for the invitation.
And go ahead and give us the government name, because I didn't want to mess it up and be disrespectful.
No worries. My name is Dr. Emmanuel Cherillian. I'm better known as Dr. T.A.N.K. I am the founder and executive director of T.A.N.K Educate LLC, which is an organization all about educating, advocating, and providing necessary knowledge to the masses.
Beautiful. Awesome. So as I was roaming around getting prepared to talk to you today, I see one of the hats that you wear in the educational space is you teach culturally responsive training methods to people. And I personally feel like we've been having this conversation decade after decade after decade about teaching disadvantaged kids and connecting with them. Right. So I want to ask you, because you're like knee deep in this work, in your opinion, what's going on after we give this phenomenal training to people? Is it just really that hard to peel back the bias, or why are we constantly having to have these conversations?
Yeah, so to keep it concise, when the founders created the education system that we use today, it was not founded or created for minority students. Mm-hmm. It's created and designed for white affluent males. If you look at any graduation class from the genesis of the education system all the way to like maybe the mid 1900s, the graduating classes were all white males. Mm-hmm. So what I'm arguing is that it was designed for white males. It has never changed. The curriculum is really roughly the same, and yet we just plugged minority students in there and just said, okay, now compete. And so what my work is to do is to dismantle that and create a curricula that is inclusive of everyone that's in the classroom, so that when everyone sees themselves. Last thought on that is, if I take a picture of a group of people, you're in a group of people, and I show you the picture, who's the first person you're looking for? Yourself. Yeah. And what our kids don't see is themselves in the curriculum. So my work is to try to make sure every kid can see themselves when they open the textbook, when they look at the picture on the wall, when they look at the teacher. And by doing that, students will be more engaged.
Okay. Now, seeing ourselves in these classrooms, here we are in 2025, and let's be honest, we're in some very strange times for what you're doing in educational spaces. We have the rollback of DEI. We have some of the pullback of culturally responsive curriculum tools in classes. And then recently, some states are really going to get impacted when Department of Education makes its adjustments. How much, in your opinion, how much more challenging will it be for educators to provide educational environments where disadvantaged students can thrive and excel?
Right. We're going to have to go back to our roots, meaning that we have to become innovative, creative, to find ways to connect with students. Mm-hmm. I can go personal here. Since Donald Trump's announcement, I've lost over 6 figures in contracts. So this is not a joke. This is impacting me directly. And however, I did not quit. I did not say, well, I'm changing my message. I just have to become creative in how I connect with students. And so I'm working on that as we speak, but the message has to still be the same. We have to find a way to connect to our students because the outcomes are so important. And so right now, a lot of school leaders are using different language, but the goal and the outcome will still be the same.
Okay. So just be real and honest. It's easier for you to connect with students of color because you understand, you have the experience. What do you tell educators who don't look like the students they're teaching on how to make that initial connection or how to create a bond in a classroom full of students that do not look like them?
Yeah, wherever you go, before you can teach anyone anything, they have to feel that you understand their journey, their plight, or who they are. And so I challenge educators all around. What do you know about your students outside of the 8 to 3 workday? Do you know where they live? Do you know the community? Do you know their hardships? Do you know their journey? And so I challenge teachers to try to learn at least 3 things about each student in the classroom that has nothing to do with academics. That you can kind of start building a relationship off of those 3 things. And once a student feels like you care, and just to give an example, how many of you, and when I speak to the room before, how many of you went to a basketball game Saturday? Had nothing to do with class, and you just showed up and they said, why are you here? I'm just here to support you and see you play. You know how that would translate into the classroom. And so it's things like that that I challenge educators to do so students can see them more as their teacher, but someone who actually cares about their future.
Okay, great tips. So extending some invitations to the cookout then, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. So part of this culturally responsive teaching is very personal to you, and it kind of correlates to this book that you just released, School Is Not For You, and it comes from some of your personal experience. And I guess as we talk about the book, open up talking about the book, I would like for you to explain what the title means and how that played out where an educator really didn't have the proper tools to pour into a student of color.
All right, so I have the book with me called School Is Not For You, and the purpose of that, even the image, is for you to read that to grab your attention like it would have caught your grandma's attention, but then to look on the face of someone in their doctoral regalia. So how are you saying? So I wanted to create a dissonance from what you read and what you're looking at. And so that's why I put the title. And obviously, I believe school is for everyone. But I was told by my high school guidance counselor that school was not for me. And I listened. And so I wanted to really use that as a launch pad to talk about how disastrous things are happening in our education system and how sometimes it's the very people we look up to who are giving these messages, and how many other students listen to her and have changed their whole trajectory and pathway. And so I started the book there, but also it gets our young people because they're excited. Yeah, school is now. And then they start reading and I change the message.
Like, oh man, I thought I didn't have to go to class.
Yeah. But I listened to her. And
Wow.
when I graduated high school, I didn't apply to one college because I really believed school is not for me. And it's after years of working at McDonald's and KFC that I was just like, there got to be more to life than that. I took a chance on myself. And that's where my life turned around. Education saved me. And I'm trying to travel the country and save as many kids as I can with this process.
Okay. Now, I know you're only 25, but here in 2025, do you think educators are still telling our kids that same message?
Oh, yeah.
No.
If they're not saying it directly, they're saying it indirectly. They're saying it indirectly with how they provide lessons, how they provide feedback, the way they address our minority students. If you allow me to, I'll give an example of how you can do it in 2025. We have 2 kids. One's a Caucasian kid, one's an African-American kid. We asked both kids the same question: what's 3 plus 3? The Caucasian kid, no, excuse me, the African-American kid says 5. And the teacher's like, 5? Do you pay attention? My time. Why don't you sit in the corner, and when you're ready to pay attention, then you can come back into the lesson. And then she asked the same question to the Caucasian kid: what's 3 plus 3? And he says the same answer. He says 5. She's like, come on, Billy, I know you got it. Try again, Bill. I know. And so what I mean by indirectly, that African-American kid will never raise his hand again, disengaged, and then he, in essence, becomes who that teacher thought he was in the beginning. And here's the Caucasian student gave the same answer, but is encouraged. And now he believes he's a lot smarter than he probably is. Yes, he will continue to raise his hand, continue to be engaged. And that's how the outcomes happen all the time, indirectly. So if they're not saying it directly, these are the things that I try to focus on how we treat students, how we talk life into our students, how we believe in ourselves, how we give them second chances, how the first thing is not suspension and expulsion.
Yeah.
Doing in practice to make these kids believe that education is a place for them.
And I guess I go back to like the training. So I would think, and maybe this is just from personal perspective, I'm stuck in my little happy unicorn space, you know. You know, a teacher would be standing in front of a class and realize I'm giving two different dialogues. That perception, it's just self-perception is not there. It's and the training is not. I mean, what's
well,
I'm confused.
I think everyone has biases. And it's until you are exposed, even me as the educator, as a trainer, I have biases. It's until you are exposed of your biases that you then see them. And so if I have in my mind and inherently that I think certain individuals are better at school or smarter, do better on standardized tests, I'm going to more lean to do that work with them. Versus, and let me just show, let's take race out. Let's do it on gender. I'm also a sociology professor, so we talk about a lot of behavioral things. And then the things that we notice is that boys tend to do better in math than girls. And we start to see those outcomes starting in third grade. However, that's really biases. And one said, how? The way we raise our boys and the way we raise our girls are much different. The toys we let them play with also pushes that. So let's look at the games we play with our boys. Let's look at the games we play with our girls. Girl games are toys are more nurturing, so which tends to lead to the English language arts, writing, essays, storytelling. We've actually socialized you that way. But if we made you play with the same building blocks and same engineering and the same sports and percentages and fractions, you would probably be better at math. And so what I'm saying is if you pay attention to just how we treat different gender, different race, you'll start seeing some of the inherent biases within the practices.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
No, that does. And as you were talking, I was also saying to myself, you know, well, be honest, Lana, if you were standing in front of a class of predominantly Black kids, because you understand the perspective, you would probably be more gracious and lean into. So I kind of had to walk myself through it. You know, I was just mad. Like, why would you say that? Okay, so okay, so school is not for you. So it clicked. So that was just personal drive, personal motivation. Say, hey, something's got to be bigger and better than McDonald's, right?
Correct.
Awesome.
Yes, but I often think how many think like that. How many have put the opinion of their teachers and school leaders to such high regard that whatever they say, that's what I buy into? And so thankfully, I had parents that were really focused on education. So I had a message to counter the message I was getting from school. But if I did not, would I also be a statistic that I see out here? So I think of myself as an exception to the rule. And that's why I'm doing the work that I'm doing.
Beautiful. Now I see behind you, you've got the results of the hard work. And you mentioned your parents were heavy on education. And I heard you earlier say, you know, something alluding to the younger generation having different perspectives. And me too. You know, when I have conversations with young people, I feel so out of touch, you know, because like I talked to you about my grandmother, my elders were heavy on education. You're going to somebody's schoolhouse. You're going to go to college. You know, that was the only option. But when I talk to younger people today, there's some messaging like they feel like college is a scam, like it's not worth it. And I hear stuff like, I'm just going to be a social media influencer. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I know I'm older, but I don't see the long game in that. I don't see the retirement plan in that. when do we lose our kids? Why would you? I'm
So they I have the unique opportunity to still engage with them almost daily because I'm a professor. So I'm talking to 18 to 22-year-olds every year. And I think they're not buying into the way their parents and grandparents think. They don't buy into the mortgage, buying a house for 30 years and staying there. For them, they want to kind of move around every 3 to 5 years. They don't believe in this idea of being at a job for decades as well. And so a lot of the way that we thought for the long haul, they think really in the immediate present, right? And so one of the things that I challenge them with is statistics. So I'm all for what you're thinking about, but let me just give you some statistics. Usually when I speak to young people, especially in the inner city, and I ask people that look like me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I usually get 4 answers. I get NFL, I get NBA, I get entertainment, whether it's a rapper or a singer, and then I get what you just did, social media, whether it's a YouTuber or something like that, TikTok. The statistics are clear, and I tell them to all Google it.
Yes.
Less than 1% makes it in all 4 of these things. And the NBA is like 0.2%, NFL is 0.3%, YouTuber is 0.2%, entertainment's like 0.1. So that means when you see these people on TV, they are the exceptions. These are the people, these are the less than 1%. So 99% of our children are chasing a 1% dream. And so the message that I tell them is, if I can get you to get a degree, I can move you from the less than 1% to 87% success rate. You have an 87% chance of becoming a medical doctor, engineer, teacher, philosopher, author, than the NBA player. And I'm not killing your dream, but I want you to have an academic backup plan. That thing doesn't work. And I think when you speak to them in that language, they understand the long-term game.
Okay, great. Now, staying in this vein of college and getting our young people in college, I read on your website, you made a pivot at one point from the college professor because you were seeing kids who look like you not prepared for the college experience. And I kind of had a pause there, and I was thinking, okay, so we're as a community, we're doing well in getting our kids through the high school process and getting them across the stage. We're even doing well in helping them fill out the admissions applications and getting them accepted into college. But then we kind of drop the ball when they step foot on campus and we seem to lose them. What steps are we missing here?
Exactly what you're saying right there. So I think, and I'm getting on the D9, even on this, because I'm part of it, is that we're all excited about getting our kids to college. And then once they get there, all the support disappears. And there's no one talking scholarships after freshman year. No one's talking about tutoring support after. And so we have to start thinking, as you said earlier, the long game. It's not just getting to college, it's getting them to finish college. So that's one of the first things that I'm pushing now is college completion versus college enrollment. So many kids are going and not finishing. The other thing that I'm pushing is really from them. I'm listening to them, and they're telling me, Dr. T.A.N.K, college ain't for everybody. And although that message bothers me, I finally said, okay, I'm gonna listen. And maybe you're right. College isn't for everyone. However, you should have another viable pathway. So now I have the opportunity of sitting on the board at a school district in New Jersey. From the 6th grade, we have now diversified our curriculum, not only for college. So now we talk about the 4 pathways. College is a pathway. Trade.
Yeah.
We need to get more minority students in trade. And with the emergence of AI, trade is going to become very important. You get degrees, but do you have skills? Third pathway we're pushing is military. And the 4th pathway is entrepreneurship. So that way kids can identify which pathway resonates with them the most and we can start giving them the support so that way they have an idea when they get to the end of high school which route I want to take, versus everyone pouring into sports and not having a backup plan, and then they don't know themselves, don't know what they want to do, and then we have the other outcomes waiting for them. All right, so that's really where I've diversified the message. We don't really talk a lot about trades, but trade is making exactly the same amount of money as a college graduate when they finish. And the difference is they have a skill set. And so I love college, and I'm not pushing that message away, but I just want to let our kids know there's other ways you can be successful.
Go to college, but can you change that, fix that air conditioner or the heater when it breaks?
Or even your tire. Yeah. Yeah.
Then you really, I mean, and the pay, a plumber's pay is, I mean, exceptional. No, don't knock it. Don't knock it.
Welders, there's carpentry. These individuals are making six figures, and that can help a lot of kids out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Truly, impact our communities. You know, when you talk about bringing financial resources to our communities, it doesn't just have to come from the college bank. So, you know, but still, we need to let the kids know you need some sort of training for that. You know.
And just one more, just in case I have a kid listening to this, why are we still going to push the degree though? When you get a degree, no one can take it from you. When you get a certification, they can. They expire. And if you renew it and do continuing education credits, gone. Once they award that master's, it doesn't expire. You don't have to do anything. You have it for life. And so that's why I always push. You can do trade. How about you do trade and a degree? So I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, gotcha. Now, you also teaching some college courses to some incarcerated individuals?
Oh yeah.
You're doing the most. Okay, so
I've tried my best to.
You are doing your best. You are doing your best.
As many areas as I can. And so my thought was, if I'm capturing them in the kindergarten to 12, and I'm catching them at the college, what about the individuals who did not finish school or never went to college? Who's talking to them? And so that began my journey of, I need to reach another group of people. And so I started first by getting the formerly incarcerated. And, you know, you come out of prison, I had a contract with the state of New Jersey where they would have to spend 8 weeks with me. And I would teach them a number of soft skills to give them a roadmap so they don't fall back into the trap of the street game. Resume building, how to interview, physical health, family relations. You need somewhere to live. You're gonna have to restore some relationships with people that maybe you don't have the closest, but you cannot rely on the same individuals that got you where you're at, right? But then I just felt like, man, I wonder if I can get behind the wall. Can I get inside the prison walls? And luckily, about 2 years ago, I was able to have the opportunity. And now we're teaching college level courses inside the prisons where they're getting credit that they can actually apply to a 4-year university that is acknowledged. And these individuals can get a bachelor's degree at the end of this. So while you're behind bars, let's make that time useful. Educate yourself. And I believe education can break a lot of the disastrous cycles that we see in the community.
Awesome. So you're teaching sociology classes?
Sociology, yes.
Yeah. So explain to the folks who might not understand, because there's a correlation, because you first started out with the K through 12, that do not understand the relationship between education and potential incarceration. Sometimes people don't understand how that works.
Yeah, there's this tagline that often heard, school to prison pipeline. And so what I push all my students to see, as well as anyone in the audience, is that there are some strong parallels between school and prison structurally. And if you start looking at the parallels, you're like, oh my goodness, like uniform, schools and prisons. You're no longer your government name, your identification number. Prisons have that. There's a time that for to eat, a bell rings, and then you go eat. There's time for recess, a bell rings, and then you go to the yard. There's a time you are told when you can go and make movements. That's the whole point of a pass. It's structurally the same.
Wow.
So in that sense, it almost feels like we are preparing kids to thrive in an industry that's really designed for something else, right? And so my thoughts is if education is supposed to inspire critical thinking, why is it structured where a place that's supposed to inspire obedience?
Mm-hmm.
And so, in essence, what I'm pushing back on the system is to say we are not creating a place for kids to thrive and learn. We're creating a place where they can be controlled and managed.
Mm-hmm.
So, here I'm trying to dismantle the school to prison pipeline. Also, if you look at the suspension expulsion rates, statistics show that 1 out of 4 Black males being born in this country statistically will spend one part of their life in jail. 1 out of 4. We are, as African American males, 5 times more likely to be incarcerated than our white peers. And so when I start looking at statistics like that and start looking at the school system, especially if you go to like the inner city, talking about bars or I don't know the schools, but the schools I came up.
Oh yes,
bars,
security systems, yeah.
Metal detector when you walk in, go to a prison, same situation there. And so it's almost looks exactly the same. And so it's psychologically, good point, preparing you for something. And so I want to kind of make it look starkly different. I want it to not feel that same way and give them liberty. And the last point I want to say is I went and observed affluent schools and I didn't see none of that. No metal detector, no bars on the windows. As a matter of fact, I would watch kids young as like 6 or 7 just get up and walk out the classroom. I'm like, what's going on here? No pads, no. Oh, we're trying to get them to be independent. But yet when I go to other schools, you're monitored every movement you make, similar to how inmates are. So these are the parallels that I want audiences to start paying attention to. So when we talk about dismantling the school to prison pipeline, you understand what we're trying to do.
So it sounds like the parents or caregivers in these inner city school systems are really going to have to push for some change for their kids.
Oh yeah, you know, we love talking general election, but the school board election is probably just as important in their community. How many are in the PTA? How many are going to township meetings? These are the places where these kind of discussions need to happen. So I employ every parent that's listening. You need to join the PTA. You need to be try to get on the school board. We need to hear your voices. We need you to be active participants in your child education. And when they see you, oh, you're not playing, and that your voice will be heard, a lot of corrections will start happening right away.
And then there's some pushback, I would think, where, you know, when we talk about in our communities, there needs to be change, there needs to be change. There are some that will hold up, you know, the Lanas or the Dr. T.A.N.Ks and say, why do we need to change? You folks seem to have pushed through and made it.
Great point. I made that point earlier to say that I'm the exception. I'm not the majority. Go to my high school. Let's do the statistics. How many have got the doctorate? How many went and got their master's? How many got their degrees? And you'll quickly see Dr. T.A.N.K is the exception to the rule. And so I have to find out where the masses doing and how do we adjust that. And so I could say, yes, there are going to be some that has resilience, that no matter what you put in their way, but not everyone has that. And so what are we doing for the students who don't have that resilience? How can we reduce the barriers that are in front of their way, the hurdles that are in front of the way, so that more kids can reach their goals and dreams? No one's goal and dream is to be on the corner. That's not a goal and dream. That's what you do when you don't have no other plan. So we can give you some successful, viable pathways. And this is what I tell the inmates as well. You don't want to be here. Here because you made a bad mistake, and you made a bad mistake because you were in an environment that you did not know other choice. So I'm here to give you some viable, healthy choices that you no longer have to look over your shoulder. Who wants to constantly live over? And they're like, you know what? You're right. I would love to find a way to make money and not be afraid.
That's right. Not looking over my shoulder.
And when
Yes.
I'm pulled over, my heart's not beating fast.
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my thing is, if I could show you that, you don't want that information. They want that information. Now we got to find out how to get it to them.
Yeah. Sometimes you're just not shown there's another way to live. There's another way to live.
Absolutely.
So when you're in teaching college courses to folks incarcerated,
yeah.
When it comes to reentry, what does that process look like? Because sometimes I hear the conversation, it's hard to get a job. I got this record. Does it make it easier for them to get?
Yes. Yeah. So that's why I really pitched to the state of New Jersey is that statistics are clear. Over 66% once you get out within 5 years of going back in. So 2 out of 3 goes right back to prison. And I think the reason why it's so high, because again, no viable plan of action. And so I almost make the analogy, it's like getting into a car and just start driving to a destination and you have no GPS map. Making bad turns, you're on the wrong highway, right? If I can give you a map and say, now get in the car, chances of you getting your destination is going to be significantly higher. And so one of the things that I'm pushing in the state of New Jersey is that before these individuals are released, maybe 6 months before they're released, we should be talking GPS map.
Gotcha.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to be a plumber? Here are the list of schools. When you go back to your community, here are the schools that teach plumbing. So the first thing you need to do is go meet Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith will give you there. To get a job, here are the jobs that are hiring people with records. So now you're not just aimlessly looking for a job, you're strategically looking for a specific, because they know your background and they're still going to give you a chance. So we're giving you resources and a map, and the hope is that once you see the pathway, you won't go to the alternative.
So just a perspective question here, because you mentioned earlier that you had lost some contracts because of DEI.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that's in school settings. You haven't lost the funding for it when it comes to teaching in prisons, though.
To some degree, possibly.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So we're still working on that right now. But
okay. I would think that they would still want to do the prison stuff. Okay, because we're there.
But the thing is, with the administration change, there have been a lot of changes, and with funding being the source of getting people to follow the agenda, many organizations are afraid to connect with certain individuals that are doing certain kind of work. So that's pending. So we'll see.
I'm sorry. The community, the cookout, we're going to have a cookout pass around. And we're going to get a GoFundMe for Dr. T.A.N.K because,
No, we're going to be all right. My message is that we're going to create our own dollars so no one can pull them.
That's right. That's right. We should have did that a long time ago. Anyways, 100%. We should have did it a long time ago. Let me switch gears here, and simply because anytime I get the chance to celebrate my people, I enjoy doing that. I like to gather everybody up at the cookout and say, hey, look at Dr. T.A.N.K. So tell us about this Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, sir, because we are so very proud. We are so very proud.
Yeah, huge honor. I would say the highest honor I could possibly get. I received an email saying that I was nominated for the work that I'm doing in the community. And last December, yes, in front of my family in my hometown, I was bestowed that honor. One of the greatest achievements.
My people just be doing it big.
Yeah, it was an honor. Yeah, I look at it still every day. I can't believe it. My father was a senior pastor, and his whole hope was that I would succeed him as pastor. But in my heart, I just never felt like I was called to the church four walls. I was called to the people who probably never stepped foot in it. And so I always felt like the work I'm doing is not necessarily work. It's my ministry. It's what I was called to do. And to be recognized at that level for something that I would have done anyway is very humbling. So thank you for
you go. And to Jesus did most of his ministry work in the streets,
Come on,
not,
now you're preaching now.
so you on task, you on task, you on
Thank you.
task.
Thank you.
So I have maybe two more questions in my random question, and I'm going to let you go. You're going to be done with me because I've taken up too much of your time here. You are a brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Yes.
And as I mentioned, I roam around talking to the young folks all the time because I'm just nosy like that. And a lot of the messaging with young people today is they seem to think, it's just me, myself, and I. I don't need anybody. I can do it by myself. What do you say or speak to the value of belonging to a community, having connection, a network, and you can't get through this journey, this life by yourself?
Yeah, I was one of those people.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I just, I have Haitian roots, and we're just revolutionary. Don't need help. We want to do it on our own. We're warriors. We're tough. We could do this. And it's just the wrong philosophy on life. Community can get you much, much farther than what you can do by yourself. And Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, I'm talking about scholars. See, if I could be real for a second, when I walk in a room, there's a lot of respect. Oh man, Dr. T.A.N.K is here. Yeah. When I walk in the Alpha room,
Yeah,
and
bruh.
I'm around cardiologists and superintendents, superior court judges.
Phenomenal men,
They
phenomenal
look
men.
like me.
Yes.
And so every time I have the opportunity to be in a room with other alpha men, it just pushes you to say there's so much more you can do or become. And I just got to throw that out there. We talk about Dr. King. Dr. King was alpha man. Thurgood Marshall's an alpha man. A lot of the giants that we look up to were alpha men, and they saw the advantage of being in a brotherhood that pushes you to be scholarly, to push academic excellence. And so, yes, we walk a certain way, we dress a certain way, we think a certain way, and our hope is to mentor our young boys to become men to do the same thing. So Alpha has changed my life dramatically and has pushed me. And a lot of the work I do now is with my brothers, and they have really came behind the movement that I'm doing right now.
Beautiful. You gentlemen are some phenomenal ones. Don't tell the rest.
Thank you. Thank you.
Last question for my random question. And this is totally sidebar. But I see that you play the sax, and it's clear if anybody scrolls around your social media, it's very rare that you step outside, not fresh and fly without your suit and tie. Yeah. So when did the sax and the suit become part of Dr. T.A.N.K's superhero gear?
Very good. So my dad was very strict, very, very strict. And he forced us all to learn how to play instruments. So I'm at somewhere around 7 to 8 instruments. Most of my siblings can play multiple instruments as well. Yeah, he forced us to learn it I started playing sax at 7 years old. It was almost the same height as me, and I'm just tugging along. But what I didn't know is how music is almost another language. It's learning using your brain and functions. And so it just really helped us develop. And so music becomes a part of my life. I don't bring it out as often, but sometimes I'll play at a wedding, churches, sometimes, yeah. But when I speak to little small kids, I like to bring my horn with me. I'm a strong believer in the performing arts as early as possible. Just another thing that kids can get involved with that can help them get to their goals, right? As far as what I dress like, I believe you should represent what you believe. And then the other thing is, I think too often you want to become what you see. And I think the reason why a lot of our kids are not dressing up, they don't see it. So I want to be, by the way, the way I dress now is how I walk into prison. And the guards are telling me, you don't have to dress like this. Like, these are prisoners.
I want them to see something different.
I want them to see me like that. I want them to say, why are you dressed? I want them to emulate me, right? And see that you can look and talk a different way and act a different way. And so yeah, it's intentional that I try to push our kids to dress again. Like when I look at old films and just like, man, we used to dress up to go to school. We used to care about stuff like that. And I go into modern day churches today, and that dress down movement's even in there now. So I'm trying to bring us back, polished, physically, the way we address, the way we talk, and just show what another way of what a man can look like.
Beautiful. So you're on college campus. You see those kids coming in with their pajama bottoms and
yes, and I'm coming in like this. By the end of the class, they're not in the pajama bottoms anymore. You know, we just gotta, you know, the first thing people judge you by is how you appear.
Yes.
Whether we like it or not. That's
you can't get around that.
You can't get around that. So I want the first thing before I open my mouth is positive out of me. And then when I open my mouth, I'm just gonna reassure what you already thought.
Just add that extra layer, that icing on top. All righty, I like it. So let me ask you my random question, and then I'm gonna ask you to tell us how we connect with you. Okay. Let's see what we got here.
I'm scared of this random question box.
Huh?
I said, I'm scared of this random question box.
No. Oh, and it just kind of aligns with my last question. What superpower would you want to have? You want to be invisible? You want to fly? You want to what?
I want to be immortal.
I got a lot of work to do. I need some time.
I would like to go all the way back and kind of just look at the different generations and then push me all the way through. So that, to me, I just want to live forever and kind of just continue with this journey. So
all right,
that'll be the superpower.
All right, awesome. I love it. So tell us how we connect with you, how we pick up the book, how we book you for coming to speak to the kids or educators or whatever. Just give us the whole lowdown.
Yeah, so if you like the message that I gave today, if you like what I stand for, what I believe in, support your brother and bring me into your organizations, bring me into your schools, bring me to your district. Like I said, we are a full-time education consulting company. Brother man don't got no job. This is what I do. My thing is I live off of your support. You can go on my website, www.T.A.N.K, T-A.N.K, educates with 2 Ds, EDDUCATES.com, or you can follow me on all major platforms. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, T.A.N.K Educates, TANKEDDUCATES. And you can also get my book. You can get it on my website, TANKeducates.com, or on Amazon. It's on both platforms. And again, I look forward to speaking at your training sessions. I do a lot of professional development for teachers. I do a lot of leadership training for organizational leaders, a lot of for employee engagement. Go on the website, look at all our services, and let's see how we can connect.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I am so proud of you, my brother. I am so proud of you. More to come, I am sure. Yes. We will peek in on you 3, 5, 10 years from now, and I just expect onward and upward, onward and upward.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you for making time for me today. I truly appreciate it and truly enjoyed what you shared. So
thank you for the platform. I appreciate you.
Awesome. That is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Black Men Matter series on The Male Perspective. This podcast is an initiative of Conversations in Color, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to uplifting Black voices. Make sure to check out our website, conversationsincolor.org, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms. We'll see you on the next episode.